All right, Mouz.MorroW as the yellow Terran on the top spawn of Atlantis Spaceship. This is just a two-player map, so both players already know where their opponents are spawning. Acer.ParanOid, the slayer of Hero Marine and Biggs in the last two games, spawning as the blue Zerg down here on this bottom left spawn. And like I said, it's just a two-player map, but it does have an incredibly long walk distance between the two bases, so they do still have some time to try to do some expands and stuff like that. TVZ, we did see one earlier. ParanOid cleaned up Hero Marine on a map much like this. Metropolis cross positions is basically the same distance between bases and a very similar map. What do you think? What do you think MorroW's chances are here against ParanOid?
I don't know, because I mean, ParanOid does have one Terran training partner to train against, so I'm sure he's pretty good against Terrans. And given that MorroW really kind of more main Zerg nowadays, am I correct in saying that? That this, playing Terran, going back and forth, of course, is really not that bad, especially if you're really, really good with, going back and forth and understand the game perfectly. And your mechanics just, they're pretty much transferable pretty well regardless. But we're going to have to see how well ParanOid does against this Hero Marine before getting taken out rather convincingly by ParanOid. Let's see what MorroW has a chance of.
Yeah, I wonder if MorroW is going to play it safer after seeing. I mean, I'm sure these guys are discussing with each other between every round. ParanOid did this. He went 7 hatches. Let's look at the replay, preparing each other for these matches. So MorroW probably has a good idea of how ParanOid played out that last match. Freedom of information and all that. MorroW is actually going to build a command center first thing before even dropping a barracks, and ParanOid, of course, is going to be dropping a hatch on his own natural. He might even go for that quick third again, like we saw on Metropolis against Hero Marine. He still hasn't built a spawning pool at all, so both players going for that macro style immediately. And MorroW is a player, I think I've seen more 40-minute plus games from MorroW than perhaps any other European player. He's just so good at macro. He doesn't need to win in that early or mid game. He knows that he can outplay his opponents with max army, so he just tends to take it to the late game. We'll see if ParanOid has anything to say about that with 30 plus banelings at his natural, like he did against Hero Marine.
And I mean, that's going to be pretty much the battle of the Titans then, is going to be macro versus macro, because we saw ParanOid, even in that ZVZ, was showing his strong hand of just going straight for that pure macro. Didn't even need to really micro his roaches that much. They just kind of hung out at the third base, took out as many drones as possible. Weren't really repositioned that often, didn't really change massively at all. They were just there. But his massive amount of macro was really able to grab him that game, just pumping out so many roaches that his opponent just could not keep up. So we're going to see if MorroW's macro can beat ParanOid's macro.
MorroW doing a little bit of an interesting move, not finishing off that wall off just yet. I mean, he does play Zerg against Terran, so he knows all these timings quite well. Factory dropping now as well. Still no add-ons or anything like that, just getting that first Marine to try and pick off an Overlord perhaps, or ward off that first couple of scouting lings. Looks like a reactor is going to drop, so this makes me think MorroW is going to drop onto the reactor for some Hellions pretty quickly. You can do that when you have 2 orbital commands, because your mineral income is so high that you can just crank out Marines and reactor to Hellions at the same time without any problems. MorroW did just go and scout the natural. Probably didn't expect anything too different, and the SCV did survive the attacks of that Queen, so that's nice just to not lose your scout.
Very much so. Being able to come back home and say, man, I live to see tomorrow. So that's one of those, just this little SCV, it's also just great because Terran can come back and repair these things. Maybe not so much for their SCVs, but for their Hellions, if they do go in, poke in, take some damage, you can come back, repair them, and they can go back out fully healed back up again.
Yep, so like we said, the mineral income looking pretty good for MorroW with those couple of mules. Actually, income for both players very, very close, as ParanOid does have the Harvester advantage, as you would expect in this early TVZ, just making an extra hatchery early, or get that larva inject going on, and he does have the third hatchery actually building right now, so still about a 6-minute third, pretty quick. I guess he's not too worried about these 2 Hellions coming out from MorroW. He did actually see them leaving the base with his Overlord parked over that fan, so he's aware that Hellions, they're out there. He's going to lose this Ling at the top. No, he's not, because, Lings are really fast, and he saw it in time. And actually, MorroW is leading this other Hellion down in the bottom of the map all the way around, just trying to waste his time, stay alive as long as he can, but he does go down. And MorroW will be arriving at this natural soon. 2 queens blocking the front. 4 Paranoid should be able to keep them from doing too much damage. He's got another queen in the back. Yeah, I was going to say, they could slip right past those queens and still get some damage in, but that 3rd queen should be able to keep him alive. 2 more Hellions coming, it looks like. Yep, MorroW going to be attacking soon with 4 Hellions against just 3 queens, essentially.
And I really love MorroW's playstyle because you can totally tell that he's also a Zerg player because he's making the bane of all Zerg players.
So
Nothing
many.
but Hellions.
Look at that, 8 Hellions now already.
So there must have been a little bit of talk between the Mouz players between these games because he knew that Paranoid did nothing but make Zergling. And that's the perfect counter. It's just nothing but a lot of Hellions. Now those Hellions coming in here doing a little bit of damage. They are taken out by a couple Lings, and with the 5 range queens, they are also warded back, taking a lot of hits. Single Marine coming out here. He's going to be the Hero Marine, but just like Hero Marine from before, he's going to get killed by Paranoid. You know, MorroW's just going to get really good scouting information, poke off as much as he can, do as much damage with these Hellions as possible. And now, as I was saying before, he can pull these back home and just get them repaired back up.
Yeah, he has 5 Hellions escaping from those original 8, but he's now cruised in with an additional 4 back at the natural. These Lings probably will be able to take out these Hellions just because of the sheer number, but MorroW did actually escape with a pretty good number of kills there. Let's look at just units lost so far. Paranoid has lost more units, but actually those Hellion prices have been adding up. It's not that hard to replace them off of reactored factories, but Lings are not that hard to replace either. Look at these 2 evolution chambers actually blocking off that entrance into the natural. That's a great move. These queens have just been walking around dropping creep tumors all over the place, but they will be able to block that off if they need to and just scuttle back home. But MorroW's going to have to do something different besides these Hellions. It looks like he's getting another factory right now. He does have another command center turning into an orbital, and does he have a starport up at all yet? He's got 2 armories working on. Wow, 2 armories, and this will be 3rd factory about to complete here. Is he going to make Thors? What do you think?
I think, yeah, we're going to be seeing a probably really, really strong mech-style Terran coming out from MorroW. It has been shown to be a very, very strong style nowadays, as Bio and most kind of styles from Terran have been kind of a little bit less successful against those queens. You know, honestly, that queen range does make a huge difference nowadays. Terrans can't really put on the equal early pressure with the Bio, so they've been going for more the mech style play, getting that death ball up and pushing out. And MorroW seems to really like that style himself, as we're seeing so many factories come out from him. +1/+1 for his vehicle, weapons, and armor. It's going to make his Hellions more powerful. It's going to make his Thors more durable, and just everything is going to be a very, very good synergy with all the mech. He's got that 3rd command center up. You need a mineral dump, and Hellions aren't always the best answer.
So the one thing peculiar about the number of Hellions he's made so far is he has not made blue flames yet at all.
Yeah, I was finding that odd myself. I was wondering for when that blue flame research was going to go down, but so far he's going to be perfectly fine with just making these Hellions. Yeah, you know,
these Hellions are going to be useful Hellions all game long. Like, blue flame probably would have helped a lot. He's made something like 30 Hellions throughout this game already. Like, I'm just a bit surprised at that, but he did save some money. Now he's able to get some Thors out. Thors do cost 200 gas, so he could actually make another 5 of them as long as he gets the minerals. That's, wow, he's got 1,000 gas floating right now. That's actually ridiculous. MorroW,
well, speaking of gas, a lot of it was spent on 22 Banelings sitting outside the 3rd, or sitting in the 3rd base for Mouz MorroW. Actually, well, he took the 4th base anyway, but looks like those Hellions are going to get crushed by those Banelings. They're going to make their way towards that supply depot wall.
Man.
It doesn't even get raised, but it doesn't even matter. Those Banelings make their way straight on through. Going to be going after those SCVs. The split coming out from MorroW already. 2 Banelings detonate on 2 SCVs. The Zergling themselves going to town.
Oh, wow.
But actually not that much damage was done by those Banelings, but with so many Zergling coming in to follow this up, they make their way straight on into the main mineral line. They're going to start wreaking havoc on the main mineral line for MorroW. And he's going to be taking a lot of SCVs. We're up to 19 losses already. The Hellions finally do come back to deal with those Zerglings. The Zergling get their surround on them. Now those Zerglings do have 1/1 upgrades, but so do the Hellions. But without that blue flame, they do take a couple more hits to kill the Zergling.
Man, normally when I watch a huge attack like that in the Terran's main, I feel guilty because I know I'm missing a drop or something like that. But MorroW really has been committing everything to trying to stop this. 2 Thors out right now on the ramp, though, are going to ensure that no more Lings get up there anytime soon. You know, MorroW actually did not retaliate there. There was nothing he could really do. He had to commit all those Hellions that were on the map to coming back. And these Thors are actually getting really low. He's not going to be able to repair. Oh, he is actually going to be able to repair them, but the SCVs will get attacked and killed. But these Thors are just raking in kills. Look at that, 50 kills-ish between the two Thors, and that is just an orbital from MorroW at the third base, and not a planetary.
I was about to say, I'm waiting for that to get scouted.
Yeah, there it is.
To get scouted, and because it is only an orbital, these Zergling can come in and just clean up the rest. Now the Hellions are going to try and get over there before he gets those Zergling over there from after scouting that. They are going to help clean up some of those, but another huge surround from more Zergling, going to be able to clean up not only those Hellions, but the SCVs, but actually some pretty good positioning on those Hellions will pull them back. But now that base is completely susceptible to all these Zergling cleaning up the rest of those SCVs. 58 workers killed right now by Paranoid.
Man, wow, 58 workers to 1. That is absolutely ridiculous. MorroW actually had some great decision-making there when he had his conga line of SCVs. He actually split half toward the Thors and half toward the Hellions. So the Lings basically had to decide which way do we want to get shredded up. Like, it was a really good move there by MorroW instead of just sending all of them in a line like that, because the Zerglings probably would have been able to pick off more. I mean, it's unfortunate the ones that did go back to the third actually did end up getting cleaned up, just because the Hellions, you know, it takes time to fire and move and all that. Thors they make better walls than race cars. Like, they're not that fast at all. So, oh wow, actually Paranoid switched into Mass Roach, and I don't know if you knew this, but Thors do really well against Roaches. Oh my goodness.
Thors do really well against Roaches, but actually a massive amount of Roaches can single down Thors very, very quickly. But in these low numbers, Paranoid definitely needs to kind of resupply his army with a lot of Roaches at once to deal with the huge amount of Thors that MorroW has been slowly building up throughout this game.
I can't believe MorroW's third is still functioning as well as it is. He's at 32 Harvesters against Paranoid's 61. If you look at the income tab, MorroW has a ton of gas income. Actually, are these the high yield refineries? I actually can't remember. I think this map had
one at the fourth base. That one's a rich Vespine, guys. You can see that it's kind of shining is really what makes the difference. It's got a little silo thing to the side of it as well.
Yeah, I see it. And MorroW has been mining from it at his third base there. Yeah. Off and on. He's not right now, but he was making use of it earlier. So Paranoid.
Right now, he just needs a lot of minerals to deal with all of these Hellions, but still, with so many more Banelings, Roach is now warped into this army as well, and just so many Lings in general. Without that blue flame, this is going to be a very, very hard battle for MorroW to win. Now, here comes those Roaches and Banelings. The Roach is actually acting as a huge force field for those Banelings. The Hellions do get some really good shots in, and I'm sorry, I did miss that there was Blue Flame research, but it just doesn't seem to be enough. Huge surrounds on the Thors.
GG. That's insane. Paranoid is so good.